Hey, how's it going, my Manic mob? Mike the Manic Geek here, and today I'm going to be giving you a review of the NZXT Doko, a device that NZXT is claiming to give you your PC anywhere. Now, the caveat to this, obviously, is that you have to have it hooked into your home network in order to use it, but yeah, for the most part, that's pretty true. You can have access to your PC anywhere. This is a PC home streaming device that basically takes the image from your desktop screen and throws it onto your television screen instead. It basically means to act as a sort of home theater PC replacement and provide you the same exact functionality that you have on your desktop as you do in your living room environment. But how well does it actually work? Well, that's what we're here to explore today. So I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what comes in the box, and then do some real-time testing on the Doko to show you guys what exactly it's capable of. So guys, this one's going to be down and dirty. Packaging is really very simple for the Doko, including some nice closed cell foam to keep the device nice and protected during transit. I/O is very simple, including HDMI audio, an Ethernet port, and a power connector. All of the sides are relatively clean, except for front I/O, which consists of 4 USB 2.0 ports, which your host computer will recognize as peripherals for itself, as well as a nice clicky power button with a white LED to indicate state of power. Other than that, you get a power cable, you get an Ethernet cable, and you get basic instructions. Now, setup for the Doko is relatively simple. You basically just plug everything in and make sure that you have the Doko software installed on your host computer that you're going to be streaming from, and the rest is cake. It'll walk you through a brief on-screen display that shows you screens where you can name your Doko, and you can set up your password for accessing the computer that you're going to be streaming from, and you're pretty much set. Now, as far as my testing has shown, I believe that as long as you have the Doko software installed on any of the home theater computers in your home, that you can select any of the computers that have the Doko software running and be encoding their picture onto the screen. Now, you can't do picture-in-picture, of course. The hardware isn't there for that. But those of you guys that have seen my videos in the past where I have my monitor on, that's my desktop background right there. Now, as far as security is concerned for the Doko, I'm a little upset that you're limited to an 8-character password. That's pretty weak in comparison to what I typically use, but realistically, it's more of a redundancy than anything else, especially if you leave your home theater computer, or rather your desktop, in a password-protected state before going to use the Doko, then you should be fine. Now, moving the mouse around on the screen here, very, very minimally perceptible input lag here. Now, one thing that I did have to do with my TV is I did have to adjust the aspect ratio a little bit in order to get the full image to appear on my screen. Otherwise, some of the desktop was bleeding off of the edges a little bit. But that's really, that's all going to come down to the individual TV that you're using for this. Some TVs you might not have to adjust the aspect ratio. Now, I'm going to do 2 real-time tests here. The first one is utilizing a Plex server that's been supplied by a friend of mine. So basically what we're doing here is we're doing movie streaming from an off-site server service to my desktop computer, and then from the desktop computer to the Doko.
It's all a deep end. A rookie judge on assessment is likely to be involved in armed combat.
Now, what I'm watching here is the remake of Dread. I'm only showing a couple seconds here, rather, just so I can see what the video looks like, see if there's any desyncing going on, look at image quality. And what I'm seeing here in my usage scenario is there really isn't any vocal desync going on, but I am noticing that image quality is a bit grainy in comparison to 1080p streaming from my home theater computer that I have. Some people might not notice it, but frankly, I feel like most that have even halfway decent vision at all are probably going to notice that for 1080p streaming, it is a bit on the grainy side. Now, that comes from the Doko having to encode an image from your desktop computer and then process that and decode it and throw it back onto the screen. So you do get some image degradation there. So yeah, video streaming for me has been fine. But let's go ahead and pull up some gaming, see what a game looks like here. We'll go ahead and load in Borderlands: The Pre-Sequel. This is the most recent Borderlands game in the franchise. It's got online and offline gameplay, but we're just going to be testing. Oh, well, that's interesting. No image on the screen, but I'm getting sound. So let me see. Okay, I see the mouse now. Let me try backing out and then going back in. Go back in. Come on. There we go. Okay. So that's one bug that you may encounter depending on the game that you play. You may need to tab out of the game and then tab back in order for the visuals to appear on screen for gaming on the Doko. Now this is running at near max settings on my desktop computer. Matter of fact, I think it is near max. There's a couple of things that I turned down just for the sake of consistent frame rates. But even going from my desktop to here and just in the character select screen, I can see that there's noticeable image degradation. Again, it's not anything huge, but it's there. And for someone that's more acclimated to playing the game directly from your computer, you may be a little let down with this performance. Okay, so there is some input lag. It's noticeable, but I'm a League of Legends player on the East Coast, so I'm used to having a little bit of input lag with my gaming. Does that make this acceptable? No, it does not. Does that make it something that, you can work around? Yes, it is something that you can work around. Some gamers might not really find this to be, acceptable, especially if you're playing something competitive like CSGO or League of Legends or, any other sort of like Team Fortress 2, that kind of game. Performance will more than likely suffer a bit there because you're not only dealing with the 60-ish milliseconds of delay on the Doko, but you're also dealing with the latency from the game server to your main computer itself. So that's something you're going to want to take into consideration. But yeah, so that's my basic demo of this. Let's break this down and bring it in a little close, have a little chat about the conclusion on the Doko. All right, so we're back in the office environment now. Now, let's talk shop about the Doko for a second. Comes in at a little over $100 after shipping if you buy it straight through the NZXT Armory, which is where I purchased it. Now, had this review been done earlier, I probably would have had a much more concrete opinion on the Doko. But in light of the announcements that have been made at CES this past year and even GDC, you have to take the Doko you have to look at it from a different perspective now, because now there's 3 prospective home streaming systems that are going to be coming out before the close of this year. There is the NVIDIA Shield. There's the Steam Link box, and then there's this. There's also a Razer streaming device. I unfortunately forget the name of it off the top of my head. Razer Forge TV, that's what it is. So you've got 4 different devices that are out, prospectively before close of the year this year. But really, I don't feel like there's any one that's better than the other, because you got to look at it from this perspective. Okay, we'll start with the least expensive one, the Steam Link. Steam Link is a $50 box that basically lets you stream your Steam game library from your computer to your TV. But as far as I can tell, that's pretty much all it allows you to do. And please comment below in the links if there's some information that maybe I've missed on something like Steam Link or any of the other devices that I'll talk about here. So, yeah, you have a cheaper solution, but you're also kind of getting what you pay for in this instance, because it's very limited in what it's capable of doing. Then you have, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the NVIDIA Shield. Now, this is I believe they said it was a $200 device. It has way more power than any of the consoles that are out there right now. It is capable of 1080p 60 frames per second gaming, as well as 4K video playback for things like streaming movies. You do have to play the games through your NVIDIA Grid subscription. It also allows you to stream games from your home computer that has a compatible NVIDIA graphics card. Now, the thing with a console like that, or a console killer, I should say, is that playing your games from your home computer requires you to purchase an NVIDIA graphics card. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that per se. NVIDIA makes fantastic products. We all know this. Yes, even considering RAM gate for the 970, I don't care what anyone says, it's still a fantastic graphics card for the money. Deal. If you're trying to purchase something like that for 4K gaming, you're doing it wrong. But what if you don't want to feel like you're locked into a specific brand purchase? And what if you want to have full functionality of your computer from your living room? Say you want to run some productivity software. Say you want to do some video editing in the comfort of your living room. You would be hard-pressed to do that with either of those other solutions, because they don't give you access to your computer's desktop. So really, Doko fills an interesting niche in that it compromises where it needs to compromise to give you full access to everything that your desktop computer can do in your living room without having to relocate it. And I mean, even as far as a home theater PC substitute is concerned, my current home theater computer draws right around, I believe, about 150 watts from the wall under full load. This draws maybe 4. And if I'm already going to have my desktop up and running anyway, there's no need for me to add that extra kind of power draw to the equation when I can have something like this that's using way less power and is giving me more or less a pretty enjoyable experience with my desktop in the living room. Because the other thing too is that's one less bit of hardware that I have to acclimate to and tune and maintain. There's nothing to maintain with this. You plug it in, you plug in your peripherals and the USB ports, you play, you work, you do whatever, you web surf. It's kind of hard to sneer at a product like this or like the Razer Forge TV when you have that flexibility with how you can use this. So this definitely gets a thumbs up from me. I'm a huge fan of this. Yeah, you get a little bit of input lag with your gaming, but if you're trying to play competitive style gaming from your living room, you're probably doing it wrong in the first place, and you should probably be at a dedicated gaming station like your office space, like sitting right in front of your computer to begin with. This is more for casual gaming use, and to give you a home theater solution that has low power draw, gives you all the flexibility of your current desktop, saves you money on having to buy a whole nother computer, and really offers little in the way of compromise. Just bear in mind that your user experience will vary with this. My home network happens to have very low latency within the cables that I use, and I also happen to have a fairly decent router and network extender. So again, your mileage will vary with this, but based on my experiences, I have a hard time not recommending the Doko to anyone that's looking for a home theater PC solution with a really small footprint. So guys, that's it for my review of the NZXT Doko. Do all that YouTube thumbs up, thumbs downing, sharing, subscribing stuff. That kind of thing helps me out a heck of a lot. Definitely stay subscribed if you want to see more content like this. I got a couple more reviews coming down the pipeline for you guys. And that'll do it. This is Mike the Manic Geek signing off. I'll catch you guys next time.